I stared at my reflection in the window of my parents' sprawling Victorian home, steeling myself for another Sunday dinner of thinly veiled insults and not-so-subtle comparisons. My 10-year-old Toyota Corolla sat in the driveway, deliberately parked between my brother Mark's Mercedes and my sister Victoria's Range Rover. The car was my cover, just like the modest apartment I kept for family visits, the off-the-rack clothes I wore to these dinners, and the struggling programmer story I'd maintained for the past 6 years. Tonight all of that would change. Finally decided to grace us with your presence? Victoria opened the door, designer dress swishing. Her eyes swept over my simple blazer and slacks with practiced disdain. Still shopping at outlets, I see. If she only knew the simple blazer was a hand-tailored piece that cost more than her monthly mortgage. But that wasn't part of the story. Not yet. Inside, the familiar scene unfolded. Mom arranging flowers that cost more than they should, Dad holding court in his leather armchair, Mark showing off his new Rolex to his wife Jennifer. The perfect picture of upper-middle-class success. Olivia. Mom air-kissed my cheeks. We were just discussing Mark's new promotion. Senior Vice President. And Victoria's interior design business is simply exploding. That's wonderful, I said, taking my usual seat, the one with the wobbly leg they never fixed. Congratulations, Mark. He puffed up like a peacock. Well, some of us know how to climb the corporate ladder. Not everyone can be content with. What is it you do again? Coding in some startup. I hid my smile behind a sip of water. Some startup had just signed the final paperwork an hour ago. In exactly 47 minutes, the news would break. Speaking of careers, Dad interjected, Peterson's firm is still looking for IT support staff. Not much, but better than freelancing. Maybe you could finally afford a decent car. The TV hummed quietly in the background. NBC, Dad's favorite channel for tracking his modest investment portfolio. The same channel that would soon. I'm happy with my car, I said mildly. It gets me where I need to go. Victoria snorted. Yeah, to your shared workspace and rented studio apartment. Honestly, Olivia, when are you going to grow up and get a real job? Not everyone can have Daddy finance their business ventures, Jennifer added, adjusting her tennis bracelet, a gift from Mark, no doubt. Mom emerged from the kitchen with the roast, her Sunday dinner specialty. Now let's not criticize. Olivia is finding her way. At 32? Mark laughed. Come on, Mom. Some people just aren't meant for success. I checked my watch. 39 minutes. Well, I did have some news. I started. Please don't say you're still working on that app thing, Dad interrupted. How much money have you sunk into that pipe dream? The app thing was NextGen Solutions, the company I'd built from my dorm room coding project into a revolutionary AI platform. The company that had just... Actually, I tried again. There have been some developments. Oh God, Victoria groaned. Another Kickstarter? Remember her last one, Mark? What was it, $50 in pledges? The hidden Patek Philippe under my sleeve, a celebratory gift to myself, ticked steadily. 28 minutes. Speaking of money, Mom chirped, desperate to change the subject. Mark and Jennifer just put a deposit down on a vacation home in Aspen. And Victoria's looking at expanding her design firm to the Hamptons. Must be nice, Jennifer said with fake sympathy, watching everyone else succeed while you're still driving that. What year is your Corolla again? 2013, I supplied. It has character. Is that what we're calling poverty now? Mark snickered. Dad muted the TV for dinner, but I could see the financial ticker scrolling across the bottom. Any minute now. You know, Olivia, Mom said, passing the potatoes, there's no shame in asking for help. Your father and I could. Still can't believe you wasted your trust fund on that tech nonsense, Victoria interrupted. At least I invested mine in something practical. The trust fund. Right. The same one I'd used as seed money for NextGen, turning that $50,000 into. Honestly, sis, Mark leaned forward, it's time to face reality. You're not cut out for the business world. Some people are meant to lead, others to follow. Nothing wrong with that. 10 minutes. More wine, dear. Mom offered, clearly trying to soften the blows. No thanks, I replied. I need to keep a clear head for later. Hot date. Victoria smirked. Let me guess, coffee shop barista? Or maybe another entrepreneur, from your coding meetups. 5 minutes. Actually, I have a conference call with some investors, I said truthfully. Investors? Dad scoffed. In what exactly? Pie company. That app thing again? Mark rolled his eyes. Give it up, Olivia. Not everyone can be successful like. The TV suddenly blared to life. Dad had hit the wrong button on the remote while reaching for his wine. Breaking news, the CNBC anchor announced. In a shocking move, tech giant Megacorp has acquired NextGen Solutions for $2.1 billion in cash and stock. The AI startup founded by Olivia. The sound of shattering glass filled the room as Dad's wine glass slipped from his hand. What? Victoria whispered. The deal, the anchor continued, makes NextGen's founder one of the youngest tech billionaires in history. Analysts are calling this the acquisition of the year. My phone exploded with notifications. Emails, texts, calls, 6 years of carefully maintained secrecy shattering in an instant. The room had gone completely silent. 5 pairs of eyes stared at me in disbelief as I calmly reached for my phone. About those developments I wanted to discuss, I said softly. Should we talk about them now? The silence stretched like a rubber band ready to snap. Mom's hand trembled as she set down her fork, the silver clattering against fine china. The TV continued its relentless coverage, each detail making my family flinch. Sources say NextGen's revolutionary AI platform has been secretly powering major tech companies for the past 3 years. Estimated annual revenue of $300 million. Founder Olivia Wilson maintained complete ownership. Turn it off, Victoria whispered, but no one moved. My phone kept buzzing. I glanced at the screen calls from Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg. The carefully constructed walls of my private life were crumbling spectacularly. This is a joke, right? Mark finally managed, his face ashen. Some kind of elaborate prank. I pulled out my laptop, not the old model they were used to seeing but my actual work computer. Would you like to see the acquisition papers? But your apartment, Mom stammered. That terrible car. Covers, I said simply, opening files that showed my real estate holdings. Just like this shared workspace you mock, I actually own the entire building. That struggling programmer story was convenient. It let me see who people really were. Dad found his voice, anger mixing with confusion. You deceived us. Your own family. Did I? I turned to face him. Or did you deceive yourselves? Too busy assuming I was a failure to notice what I was building. Victoria jumped up, her chair scraping against the hardwood. All those times you couldn't afford to join us for vacations. I was usually in Silicon Valley meeting with investors. Or Tokyo, setting up our Asian headquarters. Or London, where I own a townhouse in Mayfair. I smiled. That coding meetup, last Christmas? I was closing a $100 million funding round. But why? Jennifer demanded. Why live like someone you could look down on? I finished for her. Because money reveals character. Both having it and thinking someone doesn't. My phone rang again, my actual assistant this time. Yes, Maria? Ms. Wilson, Megacorp CEO, is ready for the press conference. And the NYSE wants to know about the bell-ringing ceremony tomorrow. Schedule it, I replied. And have the car brought around. The real one. The Bentley or the Aston Martin? I looked at Mark, who was still obsessively checking his Rolex. The Bentley. Mom started crying softly. All these years, we treated you like a disappointment? I supplied. Cautionary tale. The family failure. Dad stood up, straightening his shoulders. Now see here, young lady. Just because you've come into some money doesn't mean. Some money. I pulled up my real portfolio on my laptop. Would you like to see the numbers, Dad? The properties, the investments, the offshore accounts. Should we compare net worth? He fell back into his chair. Through the dining room window, I could see my driver pulling up in the Bentley, a far cry from the Toyota parked next to it. 6 years, I continued, closing my laptop. 6 years of watching you finance Victoria's failed business ventures while mocking my pipe dreams. 6 years of enduring Mark's condescending career advice while I was building a billion-dollar company. 6 years of Mom's pitying looks and Dad's disappointed lectures. We were trying to help, Mom protested weakly. No, you were trying to force me into your definition of success. Designer clothes, luxury cars, country club memberships, all funded by Dad's money or corporate jobs. Victoria wiped her mascara-streaked cheeks. So this was all some sort of revenge? Making us look foolish? No, I said softly. This was a lesson. About judgment, about assumptions, and about what really matters in life. My phone buzzed again, Maria reminding me about the press conference. Now if you'll excuse me, I stood up, smoothing my simple blazer. I have a company to take public. Wait, Mark called as I reached the door. All those times you asked for investment advice. I was studying you, I confirmed. Learning exactly what not to do with money. How not to let wealth define character. The Bentley's engine purred outside. Through the window I could see the neighbors gathering, pointing at the car, probably wondering about the commotion. One last thing, I turned back. That trust fund you all criticized me for wasting? I invested it in Amazon and Tesla back in 2016. Just that initial $50,000 is worth about $8 million now. But you were all too busy laughing at my tech nonsense to notice. Dad's face went from red to purple. 8 million. Amazing what happens when you actually understand technology and market trends instead of just bragging about your portfolio at dinner parties. I checked my watch. The press conference starts in an hour. Would you like to watch it here, or should I have Maria send you the highlights? The next morning I stood in front of the New York Stock Exchange surrounded by cameras and reporters. The simple blazer was gone, replaced by a Chanel suit that cost more than Victoria's monthly sales. My family watched from the crowd, Mom still shell-shocked, Dad attempting to look proud as if he'd supported me all along, Mark studying my every move like he was trying to decode a puzzle, and Victoria looked like her entire worldview had shattered. Ms. Wilson, a reporter called out, how does it feel to be the youngest female tech billionaire? I smiled, thinking of all the family dinners where they'd question my worth. Success isn't about age or gender. It's about vision and perseverance. Your family must be very proud, another suggested. I caught Dad trying to edge closer to the cameras. Actually, I built NextGen without family support. Sometimes the best motivation comes from people telling you what you can't do. The questions continued as I rang the opening bell. NextGen stock opened at $150, soared to $245 by noon. My phone showed notifications of congratulations from real tech leaders, people who'd known my secret all along, who'd respected my desire for privacy while building something revolutionary. During a break in the interviews, Victoria approached hesitantly. That apartment you live in is the smallest of the 6 properties I own in the city, I finished. The building itself is part of my real estate portfolio. And all those times you borrowed money for coding equipment. I was actually buying competitors. Small tech firms with promising AI patents. I adjusted my Cartier watch. No need to hide it anymore. That $2,000 I borrowed last year? I used it to test you. See if you'd lord it over me. You did, by the way. Mentioned it at every family dinner for 3 months. She flinched. Olivia, Save it, I cut her off. The time for apologies was during the 6 years you treated me like a failure, not now that you know I'm worth billions. Mark tried next, sliding into the conversation with his sales director smile. Sis, about those investment opportunities one mentioned. You mean the ones you said I was too stupid to understand? I checked my phone. NextGen stock now at $268. I had my team analyze them. Would you like to know why they all failed? He stepped back, facade cracking. Mom and Dad stayed on the periphery watching their perfectly ordered world realign. The daughter they dismissed as a disappointment was now worth more than their entire social circle combined. Ms. Wilson, Maria appeared with my tablet. The interviews are scheduled until 3 p.m., then you have the board meeting at 4. Also, Time magazine wants you for next month's cover. Thank you, Maria. And the other matter. He handed me a folder. The audit of your family's finances as requested. Everything from the last 10 years, investments, debts, hidden accounts. Dad's face went pale. You investigated us? Knowledge is power, I replied, scanning the documents. Like knowing that Victoria's design firm is 3 months from bankruptcy. Or that Mark's been falsifying his sales reports. Or that your investment portfolio isn't quite as impressive as you claim at country club dinners. You had no right. Dad started. I had every right. You spent years criticizing my choices while hiding your own financial troubles. The country club membership you can barely afford, the mortgages you can't pay, the credit cards you've maxed out trying to maintain appearances. Mom stepped forward, tears threatening her perfect makeup. We only wanted what was best for you. No, you wanted me to fit your image of success. Designer labels, expensive cars, a corporate job, all funded by debt and appearances. I closed the folder. I chose to build real wealth instead of looking wealthy. And now? Victoria asked quietly. Are you going to destroy us? Release those audits. I studied my sister, really looked at her for the first time in years. Behind the designer dress and perfect makeup I saw fear. The same fear that had driven her to mock my choices, to prove her worth through spending and status. Actually, I said, I'm going to offer you a choice. Maria handed me another folder. Option 1. Continue as you are, maintaining appearances until it all collapses. Option 2. Let me help you build something real. Help us. Mark scoffed, but I could see the desperation in his eyes. NextGen is expanding. We need people in various positions, starting at entry level, of course. Real work, not just titles and corner offices. I handed each of them a document. Complete transparency about your finances, commitment to actually learning the business, and most importantly, no more pretenses. Entry level? Victoria whispered, staring at the paper. But I own my company. A company that's about to fail, I reminded her. Sometimes success means starting over. I would know, you all watched me do it for 6 years. Dad stepped forward, his usual confidence gone. And if we refuse? Then nothing changes. You continue living beyond your means, hiding financial troubles, judging others based on appearances. But now you'll do it knowing that the daughter you dismissed as a failure could buy your entire social circle without noticing the expense. My phone buzzed, NextGen stock closing at $275, making my net worth well over $3 billion. You have 24 hours to decide, I said, gathering my things. Maria will show you out. Wait, Mom called. All those Sunday dinners listening to us, it must have been horrible. I turned back one last time. Actually, it was educational. I learned that true wealth isn't about what you own or what you wear. It's about what you build, what you learn, and most importantly, how you treat people when you think they have nothing to offer you. The cameras flashed as I walked away, capturing the moment for tomorrow's papers. Behind me, I could hear Victoria crying softly, Mark arguing with Jennifer, Dad trying to maintain control of a situation long past controlling. But I didn't look back. 6 years of hiding my success had taught me everything I needed to know about them. Now it was their turn to learn about real value, real work, and the true cost of judging someone by their cover. My Bentley waited at the curb, but I walked past it to my old Toyota. One last lesson for my family. True confidence doesn't need to be displayed. As I drove away, Maria sent me their responses. All 4 had signed the agreements. Tomorrow they'd start at the bottom of my company, learning what I'd known all along. Success isn't about looking rich, it's about building something meaningful. And sometimes the best revenge isn't showing off your wealth. It's making others earn their own.